Hello, everyone. It's nice to see you all. Welcome to our second day and second session of today's conference, Teacher Research Online 2026. And I am Eleanor Minbliv, and I'm going to chair this session today. And I have two wonderful mentors, and Eric Ekembe and Vanita Chopra, and they're going to present wonderful teacher researchers who did amazing projects. So I'd like to remind you about the structure of the session. So I will invite every mentor and they will be introducing the teacher researchers. So in each session we have I think in this session we have 5 teacher
That's right.
researchers. So please, the note for the mentors, please introduce your teacher researchers one by one. And while our teacher researchers present, please write down your questions because that will be like a flash presentations for 15 minutes, around 15 minutes. So if you have any questions, write them down in the notes in the chat, or you can ask them when all our teacher researchers present. So, and we will have overall 20 minutes for Q&A. So, yeah. All right. I am going to invite our first presenter, Eric. Over to you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Elia. And many thanks to the conference organizing team for this wonderful job. I was going to say that the next car that will be produced will be 6 times 6, not 4 times 4. And they will get the engine from these conference organizers because they get the engine that is above 4 times 4 cars now. So hats off to you all. Now, I'm Eric Ekembe. I'm a senior lecturer in applied linguistics in TESOL at the Higher Teacher Training College, Yaoundé in Cameroon. Cameroon is in the Western Central African zone. And I have been working with teachers in Cameroon, and then the kind of energy that we try to develop, not as much as Vanita and Elia and the others have developed, we have been able to outsource what we're doing, and we're having teachers from neighboring African countries that have joined a group and are doing so well in teacher research. I would like to say that we've organized 4 editions of the Sub-Saharan Africa Teacher Research Conferences online. And this has also given us the kind of face value that we need to be able to get teachers to do teacher research. So today I'm going to start by presenting 5 teachers this session. We have 5 now, right? Am I right? So
That's right,
the first 5 on my list will present now. Initially, I had more than 10, but I couldn't contain all with the time that we had. And then at a certain point, a good number of them dropped. 2 dropped. And one of my mentees just wrote to me last night that she's got an issue. She can't be available for this conference. So in all, I'm going to have 7 mentees, but 5 will present now. And in the next session, 2 will present. So right today, we are going to start with Theophile Aganzi. Theophile, are you here? If you're here, unmute yourself, please. I saw Theophile here a while ago. Okay, if he is yet to come, I'll move on to Shaka Koulibaly. Shaka, if you can hear me, unmute yourself, please.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, so you will start, and then anytime Theophile joins us, he'll continue from where we are. So I'm going to share your screen. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Eric, we can see your screen. Yes.
Okay. Shaka Kulibali is an English as a foreign language teacher in the Sangaribugu rural area in Bamako, Mali. Mali is not in Africa. It's not in Cameroon. Mali is a country in Africa. And I would invite him to tell us what he has been doing for this short period of time of mentoring. And Shaka, please, you will explain more in after your presentation. So over to you, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for introducing me, and thank you for giving me the floor. My topic of exploratory action research is about seeking strategies for managing noise level in my EFL classrooms. So I teach English to public school students in Sangarebugu, a rural area in Mali. With students including 7th, 8th, and 9th grades, with a class size ranging of 30 to 80 students, okay, aged 11 to 15, with a program of 3 hours of English per week. And I conducted this inquiry because my students, okay, during my lesson, show interest in learning English. However, they tend to be noisy and focused. They lose focus. So that is the reason why I focus my research on finding the reason why my students make a lot of noise, and also what strategy can I use to reduce the level of of noise during my classroom session. And I used a mixed method, okay, to collect the data, interview, and classroom discussion. So I collected data with those tools, and I realized that my students needed more opportunity to express themselves in a local language, okay, to ask the question, and also they find it difficult to understand and speak English. So they perceive local languages, okay, as the strategic use of local language to learn, and also the books that are prescribed are not based on their interests. They want more fun or game-related activities, especially when there is challenge between girls and boys. So I learned from this research that as a teacher, for a productive classroom activity, the atmosphere of the classroom is really important. A calmer atmosphere, and it will help students focus and be more productive. Okay, and okay, if after in the result of willing to work with much more exercise and quizzes, okay, that will help them boost or foster their engagement and focus during my session. That's all. Thank you. Our session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kulibali. Thank you so much, and you'll have more to explain in during the general discussion. Is Aline here? Aline, are you here?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay. I'll share my screen. I'll share your work, and then I'll let you introduce yourself. Okay.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah,
I'm Ali.
I'm going to share your post. I'm going to share your work, and then you introduce yourself, please. And you take over. You can start introducing yourself while I struggle to share your work.
All right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can start introducing yourself and you're providing background information while I share your work.
Okay. Okay, good evening, everyone. As I was saying, I'm Aline Ekembe. I'm teaching at Lycée Bilingue et Source in Cameroon. And my topic is investigate strategies to increase my student interest in English language. And my classroom is having a student ranging from 12 to 14 years old, and is a class of 30 students, and they are not exposed on the English language in their everyday life because in Yaoundé, where I'm teaching, the language of everyday is the French language. And consequently, learners are not interested in learning that English language since it is not used in their everyday life. And our problem is many of them are not interested in the English language, and many students do not also understand the English language. Those who can understand, sometimes they are afraid of expressing themselves in the English language. And this problem leads us to ask ourselves some questions during our teaching process. Why are the majority of the students not interested in learning the English language? What can I do as a teacher to stimulate the learners' interest in learning the English language? And what strategy can I use to teach the English language effectively? As objectives, I saw that this is to stimulate the student to dare speak the English language by overcoming their barriers, but also to encourage them to work in group for them to help one another. It is also to investigate why students are not interested in the English language and what strategies can I use to stimulate them. In our methodology, I used a focus group for me to have some information from the students. And I also use my teachers in informal discussion with them. I have heard how also the problem that they are having during their teaching process. And I was also observing during my classes. As findings, I have found that students have a bad perception of the English language. And as my purpose, I have to dismantle this bad perception. In fact, they do not hate the English language. They need my attention. They need me to understand their worries.
Aline, you have 1 more minute.
Yes, I should also make them to work in group. And despite our context, in conclusion, despite our context, the English language can be taught and learned effectively, and learners need more attention from me. I should also encourage them to work together for them to help one another. Thank you very much for your keen attention.
Thank you, Aline. Thank you so much. We're going to have Ashley as our next presenter. Ashley, are you here?
Yes, sir, I'm here. Good afternoon, everyone.
Just hold on, I will share your work. Maybe you start talking about your background, while I
Okay.
get Fadlet.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Dinga Ashley. I am a student teacher at the Higher Teachers Training College Yaoundé, and my presentation will be focused on investigating ways of effectively managing time in my classroom. So while waiting for Dr. Eric to share my screen, I will just say that I'm currently on internship at a secondary school in Yaoundé. I'm already into my background, so I am
Ashley, are you with us? Is it Ashley?
actively in my classroom. The 50 minutes lesson is the period allocated to every lesson to be delivered in Cameroon. Teachers were required to give clear lesson instructions during this time period. So instructional time was often reduced and okay, thank you. Instructional time is often reduced by lengthy explanations, transitions, and classroom disruptions. And also, the effective time was not used adequately, and sometimes the lesson objectives were left unfinished. So, I conducted my research in 3 classrooms. My students' age ranged from 10 to 14 years, and the classroom sizes they ranged from 50 to 70 per number. So it led me to ask the following questions. What are the causes of time mismanagement in my classroom? The second is how is time often distributed across different activities? And the third question is what classroom factors contribute to instructional delays? So for my methodology, I went on with a descriptive case study that's an also ethnographic study, and I used a monitoring time on task observation and a teacher reflective journal. So the problem for this research is instructional time is not always used efficiently in classroom practice. Key lesson content is sometimes left unfinished, and I cannot figure out why I keep losing time in my lessons despite efforts to deal with this. So for the objectives, to identify the main causes of ineffective time use, to measure time spent at different stages of the lesson, that is the different activities in my lesson, and to examine the pedagogical and classroom factors that are influencing time loss. So for my findings, I used a monitoring time on task and a reflective journal. I observed 3 classes and I documented the time that was spent during the different activities. So this is what I came up with. Significant time loss occurred during long and lengthy explanations, also due to note copying. And initially, I wanted to focus myself on the natural factors
Can you
that
just read
cause.
we have 1 more minute. Can you just read your findings?
Okay.
And then let's just
Okay. So
learn. So
late
we get to the next
arrivals,
presenter.
late arrivals, learners' distraction, and large classroom sizes also slowed learning progression. There was limited time and learning materials also affected instructional pacing. So what I have learned during this research is to carefully plan my lessons, to structure my classroom observation, and to always use a reflective teaching practice, which will easily identify the areas where I lose time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you. And next we have Burama. Burama, are you here with us? Burama,
yes.
are you with us?
Yes, I'm with us. With you.
Okay, good. I'm going to share your work now.
Can I start?
Yeah, you can start while I share your work, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Burama Kanute, and I am an English teacher at Junior High School of Yirimaju in Bamako, Mali. Today, I'm presenting a small-scale classroom research study entitled Getting My Students to Speak English in the Classroom. By way of background, the study was conducted in the grade 8 class of 39 learners aged between 14 and 16. Students began learning English in grade 7 in Mali. Most of them were educated in Bambara, the local language, at primary school, and have limited proficiency in French, which is the language of instruction. However, in my teaching practice, students demonstrate low levels of oral participation and a strong reluctance to speak English. This situation negatively affects their communicative competence and their motivation to learn. Therefore, this research aimed to explore why students find it difficult to speak English and to identify strategies that can encourage greater oral participation. More specifically, the study sought to analyze linguistic and pedagogical barriers and to design communicative classroom strategies. Methodologically, the study followed a mixed methods, exploratory design. Data were collected through classroom observations and semi-structured interviews with learners. The findings revealed that several factors reduce participation in speaking activities, including learners' socio-linguistic background, their limited exposure to English, teaching practices that focus mainly on reading, and contextual constraints, such as the lack of teaching materials. From this exploratory experience, I learned that students' reluctance to speak is not only a linguistic issue, but also a pedagogical and contextual one. Providing learners with regular and meaningful opportunities to speak can gradually build their confidence and fluency. In addition, reducing teacher talking time, organizing interactive tasks, and adapting instruction to learners' background can significantly increase participation, even in resource-limited environments. In conclusion, promoting context-appropriate communicative strategies is essential for improving learners' willingness to speak in EFL classrooms in Mali. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Burama, for using exactly 3 minutes.
Yeah, Eric, what do you say if, because you overall have 7 mentees, but what
Yes,
about...
we have 5 now.
No,
We're
I
going to
mean,
have
like,
5.
let's have 4, and then later we can have 3 more. What do you say?
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, 4 now, then 3 later.
Yeah. So now, thank you so much for wonderful presentations, and thank you, Eric, for such a brilliant work of mentoring such wonderful teacher researchers. And now I would like to welcome you all for the Q&A. So I could actually see some of the things, some you are already answering some questions in the chat. It's wonderful. Thank you so much. But I would like to welcome, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand or just unmute yourself, and please do ask from our wonderful colleagues. No questions? Okay, so yes, over to you. I'm sorry for my pronunciation, Felicia.
Yes, thank you. I've actually put my question in the chat. This is towards Aline. Aline, very well done for your research. I'm very interested in what you're doing. And I think you're doing a great job in motivating your students, but could you please clarify the reasons for your students' lack of interest in English, and why do your students feel the need to speak like native speakers of English? Thank you, Aline.
Yes, can you hear me, please?
Yes,
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, they do not have interest in the English language because the role of the language is to talk it, is to speak it everywhere where you are. When they go in their house, it is not in the context of the classroom context. When they will go back in their houses, they will not find people to speak English with them. They will be talking the French language in their houses, in the market, everywhere. And then they will say that why are we struggling to start that hard language? And that's why I was telling them to inspiring them to learn the English language, because knowing the language not only is a lack, what can I say? Knowing the language is always something to add on your knowledge. And the other question you said, there are not, they want to speak to sound like native speakers of the English language. When you are still young learners, they do not know that there are many, many varieties of the English language. That's why in my classes, I always tell them that feel free to talk how you can talk, because me too, I'm not talking like people from UK. There are many, many, many Englishes. So you have to know about many Englishes that are around the world. So feel free to talk the way you can. I think that I have answered your question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alina. I think you made a very wonderful point that having beautiful accents, I think, is more important than having just one style kind of accent. Thank you so much. Wonderful project and wonderful question. So Ella, over to you.
Thank you. I have a question to Ashley. She was talking about the strategies, how to maximize students' speaking time during the class. Ashley, you mentioned that one of the lessons you learned was that carefully planned lesson might decrease the delays, yes, in activities. Have you
Yes.
experienced, yes, have you experienced that despite how carefully you plan your lesson, how detailed your lesson plan could be, sometimes in the class, it turned out to be quite different, right? Despite that you really put much effort into planning your activities and everything. How, if you have ever experienced such twists that lesson plan actually might not work out as you envision it in a real class, how does that experience fit in with your findings, with your research findings?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. If I understand you right, you're asking me if, in essence, a lesson plan can solve the problem of time mismanagement. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that I was a student teacher, so I'm still trying to learn the classroom dynamics, and I wanted my findings to be as natural as possible. So basically, before we go into the classroom, we need to have a lesson plan. A lesson plan guides the teacher and the learners in order to attain lesson objectives. So I think that having a lesson plan at hand, while also having a teacher reflective journal on the other hand, can easily facilitate time management in the classroom. So that's what I can say for now. Thank you.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
Vanita.
Ashley, so are you practicing teacher? Yes, you're a student teacher and you're practicing teacher at the same time. You're teaching classes.
May I just
Yes,
answer?
Yes.
Ashley is one of the students we just sent out for practicum. So she's
yeah.
doing this within the context of practice. So she's pre-service teacher doing practicum as a requirement for the completion of her teacher certification exams.
Oh.
So she gets into the field and realizes that she's losing a lot of time. And then and she complains to me. I'm like, okay, then I can't tell you exactly what to do. If you get involved in trying to find out why it's happening like that, then you might be able to find a solution to deal with that issue. And that's how we got into teacher research with her.
Thank you very much. That was a very interesting detail, Ashley. Yeah, welcome with your practicum and congratulations that you already start researching some aspects of your teaching. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you. And Ashley, again, congratulations. And I'm very interested in student teachers who are doing teacher research projects. Thank you too. So now, Vanita, I think you want to ask a question.
Yes, absolutely. So my question is for Vanita Shea. Vanita, is she there?
Yes, Vanita, I'm here, but I haven't presented yet. So
yeah, yeah, she hasn't presented.
I haven't presented. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe if you just ask the question, we'll identify the speaker or the presenter.
I actually have also some questions to some of our presenters. I think Chaka, right? Am I pronouncing the name?
Shaka.
Yes. Sorry, Shaka. Shaka, you just mentioned in your presentations that there is always different, challenge between boys and girls in making noise. Can you elaborate on that more? What do you mean by that? That was a really interesting point to hear.
Shaka, can you mute yourself, please?
I can see him.
Shaka, are you with us?
Oh, the network is breaking up. It's fine. Yeah. If you want, you can also write it in the chat. So
it's okay now.
Oh yeah, good. Shaka.
Yeah. So over to you, Shaka.
Okay. Any questions? Oh.
Yeah. Do you want me to repeat the question? Okay. So in your presentation, you mentioned that there is a challenge between boys and girls. While you were explaining, you found that there is a challenge between boys and girls in terms of noise. So what do you mean by that? Could you elaborate on that more?
Okay. I wanted to say, my students, they want activities in which there are games, okay, especially the kind of games that is challenging between, not in matters of noise, but in matters of game. So if the girls are on top, yeah, the boys would be angry or wanting to win. For example, if it's unscrabbling letters, so most of the time the girls win and the boys are not pleased with that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to explain.
So, what do you do in order to handle that when boys are angry?
So sometimes I add another one more example so as to be they have to be equal.
I see. Okay, good strategy. Okay, thank you so much. So, do we have more questions, dear colleagues? Okay, so maybe I'll ask another question, Burama, right? Okay, so I hope I pronounced your name correctly. So, you've done a very interesting project, mixed math exploratory. So what did you basically learn from this project? I mean, as a researcher, not only as a teacher, but maybe as a researcher, because your project is quite I think in terms of methodology, it's quite unique and very like interesting. But what did you learn from that?
Thank you very much. First, as a teacher, I learned that exploring problems related to speaking is really important to any EFL language, EFL teachers, because the ultimate goal of language learning is speaking too. So, but unfortunately, we see that teachers neglect this point. In Mali here, they base their efforts on reading, on writing, but students are still unable to speak the language. And this is why they are most of the time demotivated in the process. They are demotivated because you don't have the same goal. We teach them in order to evaluate their knowledge in reading and writing, but they want to speak the language. If they are unable to do so, so they are demotivated. So this is what I learned as a teacher. Now, as a researcher, I've learned that making research in our own classrooms is something that should be expanded to our teachers around the world, because of having a classroom and having problems you don't know how to solve them is really very difficult. You know, some teachers from the start to the end of their career, they remain with the same problem. They don't know how to solve the issue. So getting in touch with teacher research has been a great opportunity for me to explore how I address problems in my classroom. And thank you very much. Thank you to Eric and Dr. Nicole Meno. I don't know, he is not here today. And this is what I can say about your question. I don't know if I addressed them correctly.
Yeah. Yes, you addressed it very well. And yeah, I think your point is really good because some teachers may not know how to solve. I mean, as a teacher, you always come across with some problems. And as a teacher, you don't know, like, you may not know how to solve them. So, and doing your own research is really helpful. Okay, thank you so much. Very interesting points.
Thank you, Elia Mura.
Yeah, okay. So other colleagues, do you have any questions? So I think we have 5 minutes, so you can ask your questions. Okay.
Well, I can plan to use all my time in the next session.
Okay, so but we have a break as well.
Yeah, I was trying not to encroach into the other sessions because if that happens, it means that I would have disrupted the whole chain of activities. So that's why I was very keen on them getting their presentations done in exactly 3 minutes, even though we couldn't really execute that faithfully.
No, you did very well. I mean, they presented within 3 minutes, and we have still more, so which is great, I think.
Yeah.
So, oh, Ella, yes, over to you.
Sorry, yeah, I think that Eric had another plans for this time left, but okay. A question to Burama. I understood that your students are at least bilinguals, right? They are fluent in French. Yes, you mentioned that the language of instructions at your school is French, so English, it's like an additional foreign language for them, yeah, right? So you mentioned about interactive activities, communicative activities to engage them in speaking in English more, right, in class. Can you share a couple of examples which interactive activities you found effective, useful for your plans, for your objectives?
Thank you very much for the question. Okay, mostly I investigated on maybe some CIT techniques, communicative language teaching. Some techniques from this, like role plays. I used the role plays. question and answer chains, and also the information gap filling. So, for example, when talking about role play, for example, I set a situation in the classroom, and then I get them to use it in a context. For example, if it's about greeting and introducing, I say I may put face to the
Oh, sorry.
The internet,
Looks
yes.
like we lost Burama.
No, he's back. I guess he disappeared, but he's back now.
Okay, yeah. Burama, if you can hear us, unmute yourself and answer the questions, please.
Eric?
Yeah.
Yes, we were expecting you to finish answering Ella's question.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. There was a breakout.
It's okay.
Can I continue?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Eric, are you getting me?
Yeah.
Yes,
Can someone
yes.
hear me?
Yes, please do continue so we have some time. Oh, I think he can't hear us. Burama,
Okay.
can you hear us?
Are you listening?
Okay, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I was saying that I use techniques from the communicative language teaching, like the role plays, the information gap filling, the question and answer chains. So those are activities that prompt my students to speak the English language. Because, for example, I would write at the blackboard name, surname, nationality, residence, age, things like that. So I write those different informations on the board, and they write it on the notebooks. And then I ask them to go to other students and get those information, but by asking questions. For example, in order to fill the place of name, you would go and say, excuse me, what's your name? So this prompts them to speak English. And the other one also will answer in a sentence, saying, my name is. So those are activities I used in order to prompt them to speak the English language. And also my role in the process was to make sure they are speaking English. They are interacting with one another. I don't know if I answered the question.
Yes,
Yep.
I think Ella is nodding and
Thank you
clapping as
very
well. Good, thank you. So I think we will now have to move to the break, but I think
Vanita has a
Vanita
question.
has a question. Yes, over to you.
Yes, I just have one question. So for Burama, particularly. So Burama, you mentioned about material constraints. So how do limited resources affect speaking activities, especially when we talk about low resource classrooms? And how did you try to address this challenge?
Yeah, thank you very much. So defining the resource limit, the limit of our resource in our context. Generally in Mali, we are in classrooms where we have only a blackboard, a chalk, a ruler. So it's not too much easy. And sometimes we don't even have power in the classroom. So to use a computer, projectors, things like that. For example, if you want to go on using activities like picture prompt, you project or you show your students a picture so that we discuss in order to prompt them to speak. So this is not easy in our context. And to address this issue, I made extra effort. Sometimes I spend money on making copies for my students in order to fill the gap of lack of resource. So this is how I define the limited resource context and how I addressed it.
Thank you so much, Burama. That was lovely to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you.
The teacher is becoming the main resource, for
Exactly.
his or her students. Excellent. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you so much. So we have 3 minutes before starting the next session. So maybe you can grab a coffee, tea, and then come back in 3 minutes.
And when we come back, if I'm starting, then I'll start with Theophile. He's right here. Theophile, can you hear us? Can you hear me, Theophile?
Okay, so welcome back. So now we are going to start session B, and we will have presentations from 15:35 p.m. up to 4 p.m. UK time. So, okay. So again, I would like to remind you the structure of our presentation. So we will have 3 to 4, but now we have 3, so they will have like around 4 minutes of presenting their teacher research projects, and then we will start Q&A after all our teacher researchers present. Please, if you have any questions, write them in the chat or just take notes and you can ask them during Q&A. Okay, over to you, Eric.
Great. So do you want me to start again with my mentees?
Yes.
Okay.
I think, yeah. Session B is yours, Eric.
Good. So Phil, can you see my screen?
Yes, now we can.
Yes, I can see your screen, sir.
Okay, so you tell us what you've been doing.
Yes, I can see that you've shared my work.
Yeah, so you can look at your work and tell us what you've done.
Good. I teach at BTEX International. Age range varies between 12 to 15. They are in grade 7 and 8. The problem I found was that my learners resort to replicating my sentences instead of generating authentic language during productive activities. For this, I questioned the reason why they are resorting to my sentences instead of just producing their own authentic language. And also, I questioned strategies that I can use to enable learners to generate their own sentences. For that, I collected data using focus group discussions. I chose purposely some 10 learners. We had discussions where I prepared guiding questions. They gave me answers. And I also created a WhatsApp group for teachers. Since in my area context, it was difficult to gather all of them, so we had our discussions on WhatsApp. And I crafted out guiding questions for the discussions. And I came up to the findings that follow. There is learners' dependency on teachers' models. It means what I give as a model for them, they take it as a structure. There was also fear of producing incorrect sentences. I also found out that there is emotional reactions to error correction and a tendency to prioritize teachers' approval over originality. Production of sentences whose meaning is unknown to the producer. And it was reported that the learners imitate the teacher's sentences because they believe these sentences are correct and more likely to be accepted. Producing similar sentences is easier and quicker than creating their own. And also, they reported that negative emotions such as shame, discouragement, and shock may arise when their sentences are rejected. And from all that, I learned that I should engage learners in debates and discussions. I also should create real life situations for communication and be asking them open ended questions. Encourage pair or group work using learners' own responses as the basis for building correct sentences. Also, creating a supportive classroom environment where learners feel safe to make mistakes may encourage learners to produce their own authentic language instead of resorting to replicating my sentences. Overall, the discussion suggests that learners' replication of model sentences is a common classroom phenomenon influenced by pedagogical practices, limited vocabulary, and fear of errors. More interactive and communicative activities could help learners move from a simple imitation toward more authentic language production. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sir Phil. I'm going to share Karen's work. Karen just indicated that she's experiencing a stormy climate now, and she was.
I'm there, Doc.
Okay, good.
I think it is gone down a little. I can.
Okay, that's fine. I'm happy that we are right here. I'll share your work. There you go. Can you see my screen?
Not yet. Yes.
Okay. Great.
Okay, I can see. Hello, everyone. It's been an insightful session so far, and I'm excited to share my work. So my name is Karen, and my study is titled Investigating Factors That Can Help Students Cultivate a Reading Culture. I teach English language and literature in an urban private school in Bamenda. My students range from 11 to 21 years of age. And over time, I noticed that many learners show very little interest in reading activities, both in the classroom and the work you give them to do at home. In many cases, they even display anxiety or fear towards reading activities. And because of this observation, my research focused on two groups of learners, Form 2, which is grade 7 with 130 students, and Upper 6, which is grade 12 with 73 students. And in these classes, the students generally demonstrate very low engagement in reading tasks. I actually chose these two classes because Form 2 represents the foundation level, while Upper 6 is the final year before students leave secondary and high school education. Now, the core problem is that many learners avoid participating in reading activities. This avoidance has serious consequences because it affects their reading comprehension, creative writing ability, and analytical thinking skills. This concern led to two main research questions. First, I asked myself what prevents the learners from actively engaging in reading activities, and I wondered about strategies I could use to motivate learners to participate more actively in reading. Based on these questions, the study had two major objectives. The first was to identify and examine the barriers that limit students' effective engagement in reading. The second objective was to explore and develop strategies that can promote a positive reading culture among learners. To carry out this study, I used the following data collection methods. It included formal and informal interviews with students and teachers of my department. I also administered questionnaires containing open-ended questions to gather detailed responses from both groups. Now, it is interesting to note that the teachers of my department did not really want to take part in this exercise, even the teachers in other departments. So that part was blocked. So I worked with the students fully, and the study produced several important findings, which were, first, A large number of the learners had little or no background in reading. Many also lacked encouragement or support from parents or guardians. Another key factor was lack of motivation, which played a significant role in learners' negative attitude towards reading. In addition, many learners reported that they were afraid to read aloud in class because they lacked confidence. Some even avoided reading because they feared being mocked or ridiculed by their classmates. Interestingly, about 50 learners showed indication of a mild dyslexia affecting their reading ability. The research also revealed that many students lack access to appropriate reading materials, while others struggle to understand the text available to them. Furthermore, a good number of students have limited time for reading at home. One particular case involved a student who stutters and reported that she never dared to read aloud in class because of embarrassment. In conclusion, the findings suggest that early exposure to reading is essential for building a strong reading culture among students. It is also clear that students need consistent support from both teachers and parents or guardians in order to develop positive reading habits. Finally, special attention should be given to learners with reading difficulties so that appropriate support and intervention can be provided. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Karen. Almost straight to the next presenter. I think that should be last now, and that's Dr. Jinde Finita. I'd like to say I was interested. I found a lot of interest working with Dr. Jinde, who's my colleague in the College of Education. So, Dr. Jinde, please, can you tell your story to this wonderful audience?
Thank you very much, Eric, and hello, everyone. My name is Finita, and my teacher research focused on exploring students' reluctance to participate in speaking activities in my classroom at ISEA. ISEA is a sub-regional institute of statistics and applied economics, and it is located here in Yaoundé, Cameroon. And I teach English as a foreign language to adult learners who are aged between 18 and above. The classroom challenge I face is that my students are motivated. They express a strong desire to develop proficiency in English. But however, during speaking activities, they are reluctant to willingly participate in speaking activities in the classroom. And so to explore this problem, I framed the following research questions. Why are my students reluctant to participate in speaking in class? What are their perceptions? What are my students' perceptions about the strategies and resources I use? And what pedagogic strategies and resources can enhance their engagement in speaking? I used a focus group discussion to collect data from the students, and the data was analyzed using thematic analysis. The findings revealed the following. Firstly, my students are reluctant to engage in oral activities in my classroom because of fear of making mistakes. They fear of being ridiculed. Some of them are shy, they are anxious, they lack confidence. There is equally language deficiency and the restrictive pedagogic environments that are imposed in the classroom. The students equally indicated that the collaborative strategies I used to engage them in speaking are beneficial. However, the strategies do not encourage and do not ensure individual participation. And lastly, they would love me to use authentic multimedia material. They would love me to integrate interactive ludic activities and to frequently assess their oral competence. And these strategies, in their opinion, would, make them and would engage them more in speaking activities in the classroom. So the next step for me, the next thing I have to do would be to design an intervention plan that would consist in designing and testing pedagogic strategies that could enhance their speaking, their engagement in speaking activities in the classroom. thank you for listening, and I look forward to your questions and suggestions to improve my study.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Finita. Earlier, and Vanita, I've done 7 on 7 today, and I'm happy that the gods of the internet were tried to understand my situation.
Yes.
And now over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. No, I mean, it's wonderful that you managed and your teacher researchers managed to present. I think this is great. And yeah, and I want to congratulate you, Eric, as a mentor who brought so many wonderful teacher researchers with such interesting projects. So well done. So now I'm going to start some Q&A. So some questions, because I can see Vanita was the first one who raised her hand. Over to you.
That's true. Thank you, Elena. So my question is for Vanita, Dr. Vanita. You mentioned in your story about emotional factors and personality traits. Could you share some examples of how these influenced learners' participation?
Thank you. Thank you for your question. In my classroom, when I realized that when I ask students to speak, especially when they have group activities, their avoidance behavior. Some of them would have their heads on their benches. They wouldn't want to participate at all in the speaking activity. They would hurriedly leave the classroom, and others would really not want to. They would avoid eye contact with the teacher because they don't want the teacher, to call them up to share their opinion, to share their ideas. And during the focus group discussion, they made it clear to me that it is because they really feel shy. They don't like to be when they make mistakes, they fear their classmates would mock at them, and that's going to have a negative impact on them. And so to them, it was they wouldn't want to to participate individually in the classroom. So a better strategy, as they proposed, would be that put them in pair, put them in groups, and try not to embarrass them, not to make them talk spontaneously, have them prepare their speaking before participating in speaking in the classroom. So that's what I obtained from the learners.
Thank you so much, Vanita. I have one more question. You talked about issues like anxiety or fear of making mistakes on students' part. So how did it affect students' willingness to speak?
Well,
how did issues like anxiety or fear of making mistakes affected students' willingness to speak?
Yeah, the students, maybe I mentioned that they live in Yaoundé, and the language that is dominant in Yaoundé is French. So they all come from different African countries, and the dominant language, the language they master well, is French. So when they have to, express themselves in English, they are unwilling to do so because they lack the vocabulary, they lack the grammar, they are not quite sure of what they are going to say. So that makes them nervous, and it makes them, not willing to, to share their opinion, to share their ideas with the other. And so it affects speaking in the classroom, and it affects even the development of their oral proficiency in English, because at the start of each class, at the beginning of my class, their desire is always we want to speak English so that we can, study abroad, so that we can work for international organizations and all of that. But if they are unable to, practice speaking in classroom, because out of the classroom it's quite difficult for them. It's only in the classroom that they have that opportunity. Given that in Yaoundé, the dominant language is French. At ISEA, all the other courses, are taught in French. Lecturers teach in French. So it really affects, that would affect them, their development of oral proficiency in English.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vanita.
You're welcome.
And congratulations on completing your project. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the question, and congratulations, Dr. Finita, on wonderful project, on completing wonderful project. So we have, I think, more questions. So Felicia, do you want to ask a question? So you raised your hand.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I did put my question in the chat, and this is for Theophile. I find your research particularly interesting, Theophile, and you mentioned earlier that your students tend to imitate or replicate your sentences. Would you be able to provide us with some example sentences which your students tend to replicate? And also in your poster, you mentioned that you try to create a supportive classroom environment. And could you let us know what kind of strategies did you employ to help create this supportive classroom environment so your learners feel fine and not apprehensive or not scared with making mistakes in their language use? Thank you.
Okay, so could you okay.
Okay, for the sentence first, let's take this sentence that they replicated. If the item I'm introducing is lorry park, and I say the lorry park of Walungu is at Lisewiba, the lorry park of Walungu is at Lisewiba. You would repeat this sentence by providing something like the lorry park of Miki is at Place de la Paix. So, yes, the lorry park of Miki is not even at Place de la Paix, and there is no lorry park of Miki. So, for them, they're just happy of providing sentences, even when they don't know what the sentence means. They just take the word lorry park. This is the same structure, but they don't understand, don't communicate any thought from the sentence. If I say, for example, in a lesson, you had better go to hospital because you are sick, they will give me a sentence such as, you had better go to the bank because you are sick. And when rejecting such sentences, they used to manifest behavior that reveals a kind of disappointment. And for that, I decided to create a supportive classroom. And in creating a supportive classroom, I firstly stopped giving sentence when introducing an item in vocabulary or in grammar. I just wanted themselves to produce the first sentence that is considered as a model sentence. And also, whenever a sentence is given, I couldn't reject it anymore. Just every sentence with acceptable. I stopped being too prescriptive with them, giving them everyday remarks about the sentence, and this. I just wanted them to discuss. And I told them that they are free to tell me just what they feel and which is real. I told them that any sentence to be accepted should not firstly be grammatically correct. It should firstly reflect reality. When the sentence is real, we'll come back to its linguistic correctness later. And from this, they started then getting involved into discussion. And I also changed my ways of teaching because they started revealing that my methodology or push them to replicating into businesses. Instead of being them to provide a sentence as examples, I engage them. For example, I can tell them to tell me what is they experienced when they arrived for their first time at a low park, and such situation could trigger discussion in the class. Yet they still have problems of vocabulary, which is normal because they are in their first year, and into our area context, it's their very first year of English for those who are in grade 7, and for those who are in grade 8 at second year of English. So for this first semester of this school year, it's normal for them not to have acquired a sufficient vocabulary as needed. But from the study, I've completely changed my ways of engaging them into discussion. And for this week, I can say that they have now adopted, they have now adhered, to the logic of not simply giving sentences as a sign of showing that they're active, but reflecting on their experience to the items I'm introducing. I think I've answered the question.
Okay, thank you so much. I really hope Felicia, you heard. I mean, it's good, even though despite the internet connections. So it was a great explanation. Thank you so much. So we have two more hands here. Okay, I can see Ella, over to you. And then Tanawat, and then we have a question in the chat. So by Mohira. So I'll ask one by one.
Very, very brief comments to Phil, and then my question will be to Karen. Phil, I would like to pay credit to your students how smart they are, because I think they have adopted a strategy, better safe than sorry. That's why they hide behind the teacher's back, right? They decided, let's not to take risks and generate our own sentences. Let's hide behind our teacher's language, which is a safe zone for us. So we can give them a credit because they develop their own strategies. Of course, that's not, of course, what we expect them. We need them to take risks and not to be afraid of making mistakes. I was thinking about that while you were presenting. So yeah, shared my comment about your students' strategy and being smart. And now the question to Karen. Karen, I understood that your research was about exploring constraints, right, behind the culture of reading. Well, I think we understand that developing a culture takes time, especially because you discovered so many different reasons that, like, sometimes they are not under your control, like you said, physiological limitations, yes, dyslexia, or the traditions in their family. You cannot influence this right away. But as a teacher, because you are one of the primary stakeholders of developing this reading habit, as a teacher, out of this list of the reasons that you discovered, constraints, factors that limit their reading proficiency, what you would like to attend, what you can to attend first, urgent, what is in your power to do? Have you thought about that? Because not all of the reasons which you listed is actually you can influence easily, right? So what do you think? Culture, to develop a culture takes time, but what could be your first steps?
Hello, I really apologize. I'm unable to hear anything you're saying because we have a thunderstorm. If you noticed, I was trying to bring my head closer if I could hear anything. I really did not hear what you... Can it be typed in the chat box where I can see? I'm so sorry about the inconveniences.
I will.
Thank you.
Thank you. But Karen, I think there is one question, or like to you while Ella is chatting, typing her question. So, Karen, how did you create inclusive environment for those who struggle with dyslexia in reading? So the question was asked by Mohira Alibekwa.
Yeah, I could read that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm still I've not started the implementation stage of my research, but I think that every learner deserves space in my classroom. So since they're shy because they feel they cannot read, I won't force them for now. I want them to do it when they feel they can. And what I do is in my classroom, I let everybody know that they are the same. And those who are not as smart as the others should not bully others, because I teach in an environment where the kids bully a lot. So I talk to them and I tell them not to bully, allow everyone to express themselves the way they can when they can. So I'm still going to do implementation, but I give them room. I am patient with them. I let them express themselves when they can.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Thank you so much. You are a very wonderful teacher. Yeah, I mean, and the philosophy behind this, yeah, like creating the same and like inclusive environment is great.
They're all the same. They may have their weaknesses, but they're all there to study, and everyone has a right to study in whatever way they can.
Yeah, that's true. And what I really like that you mentioned, they are all the same, but you are trying to meet all their needs, you as an individual, which is great. So yeah, like same word has different meanings here. Nice. Thank you.
True. Yeah.
Wonderful. Tanawat, over to you.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yes, my question is for Karen as well. Actually, I would like to ask the same question like Elra just asked her. As I can see, like, the findings that like so many issues as well. So my question is that like in the future, under current, I ask you like for the further intervention for you, which one or which aspect of reading that you think is just like most necessary for your students? Yes.
Which part of reading?
Yes.
I think reading comprehension, because our end of course national exams test comprehension skills, and then we have sections where they have to be critical in their analysis. They have to be analytical. So I think every step of reading is important, and their problem is at every level of reading. They are so interested in listening, but they're not interested in reading. And now the reading part affects the way they write, and it affects the way they speak. They're interested in speaking too, but when they want to speak, they cannot find the words to speak. And a way that we can help them get the right vocabulary to use or build up their vocabulary is also through reading. So I focus on reading for now because I think that it's a way to help build their vocabulary, build their grammar skills and sentence structure skills. There's a lot they get from reading.
No. Great.
Thank you so much. Karen, do you think, one more short question is that, do you think that like, because as you mentioned that, motivate to read among peers for fear of being, like ridiculed and, mocked by their friend, for example. So do you think, in what way that you can like help them to, to decrease like this kind of problem as the teacher, to help them to willing to work together, read together, let's say.
A year, actually, after the interviews, after the informal discussions with the students, I gathered a lot from them. So I realized that most of them told me that they like to work among their groups. They like to work in groups. So the reading passages that we have, I should assign them groups. They prefer to work with their peers. It shouldn't be a whole class, something I can just observe. So I'm working on that. Good. And they also told me that the reading passages in our course book, they're difficult. maybe the language for the levels. And I actually realized that some of them really have elevated language for the levels. So I'm thinking that I could take a passage from the course book and refine the language, make it lower, make it accessible to them. I could do it on my own, and I present the passage for them to work on. It mustn't necessarily be as exact as it is in the course book, but it can be something that is refined for their level. And for the 12th graders, actually, they told me that I should just be patient with them. So I'm still thinking of how I'm going to come out with ways of encouraging them, because they're at the end of they're writing the end of course examination, and it is a non-negotiable issue because reading is actually tested. So I'm still going to figure it out ways to help them build reading skills. Yes, but I'm happy that they were able to express themselves to me, their worries, their weaknesses, their problems. I'm happy with that, so I can work on that.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Tanawat, for asking a question. So going back to Ella's question, so I think she's asking what factors, or you've in your poster, you have mentioned several factors or several reasons that you have discovered in your research. Which factors would you address first?
Okay, I'll address what they face in my class. I would address the immediate concerns in the sense that when I come to teach, I would figure out ways of making it easier for them to work with. Because at home, I cannot really influence it since the parents may have a different view regarding that. So as of now, like I earlier said, I'm going to refine their passages to make it easier for them to access. And we're not just going to do everything at once. We could break them in chunks, yes, and make it kind of more engaging, because most of those passages are really lengthy and they don't have the patience to read. Most of them hide behind other learners to just copy answers and present. They don't get to read. So I would like to do it in portions. But there's several other ways that I'm thinking about. Like I said, I'm not yet in the implementation stage.
Yeah.
Yes, so I'll still figure out how to do that.
Yeah, you have completed the first stage, which is great.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. So wonderful project. So I think so I can see 3 hands, but one by one, please. So Venera, do you want to ask a question?
Yes. My question is to Ms. Karen. Thank you for the presentation. You involved one of the sites is parents, right, in creating the culture for reading. So have you thought already, or have you already implemented, or are you going to implement in the future, somehow involving them and turning for them to help, like in creating this culture for reading? In any way possible?
I actually intend to involve the parents. The only problem I have now is that most of the parents of my students are busy workers. They don't have time for the children, because when I talk with them, they tell me that even if I give them work to do at home and they're not interested to do it, their parents don't have anything to do. So reaching out to them immediately to get into the process is going to be kind of a difficult issue. So I'm going to start at the level of my class and see how to involve the parents gradually. And it will interest you to know that where I teach, the parents of most of the children are business people. They sell in the markets. They spend their whole time in the market and come home late in the evening. Most are not very educated. The few who have parents who are workers in government offices also do not have the time to spend with the children. So as of now, I think that I am the major stakeholder here. I'm the major person that can help them begin to develop the interest in reading, and then we can figure out ways to involve the parents. It is not the culture where I come from. Even when I was growing up, it was not the culture. I think I I learned how to read. In fact, I loved reading because of a few of my classmates whose parents had books. My parents didn't have. My parents didn't even talk about reading. So I just developed reading with the help of a few of my friends. So the culture has really, it's the same thing from when I grew up till now. So it's kind of a difficult situation, but I'll try my best. I'll try.
Thank you so much. Eric, do you want to comment? I guess.
Yeah, I was just going to
Mm-hmm.
praise Karen for her ambitions, but to use this as an opportunity to tell all my mentees that solving a classroom challenge, you need to draw from the data that the learners give you, especially when you get into some form of dialogues, whether questionnaire or interviews or focus group discussion. You can draw from them, from what they tell you, and try a number of strategies to be able to find out which would be the most accessible and productive. It's sometimes ambitious for us to think that this would work, this would work, this would work. But the moment we develop a systematic action plan and try it, we realize that some of the things we thought would be difficult or easy may turn different. So what I mean by this is that you try to channel your ambitions now towards the action phase, and then we come up with what can work in our context. This is my advice to all of you. Thank you.
Wonderful advice. Yeah.
There's something I'd like to say about this process. I think that before now, I was just teaching. I wasn't teaching because I really wanted to create an impact on the students. I was just teaching because it was my duty as a teacher. But since I joined the teacher research program, I want to research on every problem that I face in my class. So it's kind of like my burden. I want the students to be okay everywhere. So this teacher research program, I think, is the best thing that has happened to me as a teacher so far. I really like the idea. Thank you so much, Dr. Eric, because you've kept me curious. In every lesson I teach, I am curious about where the students have a problem and I want to solve it. Thank you so much.
Thank you too for your hard work.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I think Tanwad wanted to say a couple of things, but I could see he's writing in the chat. So I think it's again for Karen. So Tanwad also did his exploratory action research in this area. Probably it would be also a good idea for you to get in touch with each other and learn from each other's projects. So that could be also like the next action. Okay, so thank you. So I would just want to remind you, so I am sharing 2 links, and if you want to receive your certificates, please fill in the form. But also we would appreciate if you share your feedback about the conference, about your experience so far. And there is another link there as well. Please share your feedback as well. So, and we have 1 minute left to end this session. Not the session, but to be session, not the whole session, because we have one more session. So do you have any comments, anything, any notes, any final comments for this session? So thank you so much for wonderful teacher research projects done by wonderful colleagues. And Eric, thank you so much for bringing them to share their research projects. I think they are very beautiful projects. And yeah. Don't forget, please, to fill in the certificate and feedback forms.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yes, Eric.
Yeah, Elia, I was just going to say that I think the thanks go to the teacher researchers because in my context, I mean the context the teachers I'm mentoring, because I know their realities. I've lived their realities and I live their realities right now. A good number of them find it very difficult to have internet time. Yeah, of course, I know it. And amidst network problems, poor internet connectivity, and large classes and administrative pressure. So if they can find time to do this, I think it's another lesson that I'm learning in life. And one of the things that I have not mentioned before is what I've learned mentoring them. Yeah. So it's built my mentoring capital a lot. At what point in time do I have to be patient or do I have to rush a mentee? These are the things that I am learning with them. And also at a certain point, trying to be very conscious of the difficulties they're experiencing during the mentoring process. These are some of the things that have helped me develop some kind of mentoring techniques. And I would share openly that the technique I'm using in mentoring here is completely, it's not, let me not say completely different, but I mean largely different from normal process stage in mentoring. I've had to be involved in iterative patterns using multimedia resources to cause that tweak on teacher research. Otherwise, if I were to stay close to these stages, moving from one stage to another and hoping that we can get the desired result upon completion of a particular stage or a phase, I'll not learn as much as I'm learning with them now. So I'm saying that we thank them more for causing me to learn other things that I would not learn if I were just to direct or if I projectized my teacher research mentoring experience with them. So thank you all mentees. Thank you so much. And thank the conference organizers for giving us this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, Eric.
Thank you so much, Eric. Congratulations to all your teachers.
Yeah. Congratulations again to teacher researchers and to you, Eric. Yeah, mentoring isn't easy as we think. It has a lot of ups and downs, but it also has a lot of lessons to learn. So yeah, I agree. Thank you. So we have 2 minutes before we start the next session. So yeah, probably you can relax, but it would be wonderful if you attend the next session as well.
Thank you.
Okay, so welcome everyone to the I would say session C. So and today we are welcoming the teacher researchers from, as Vanita said, from India and Thailand. So just quick reminder again, so your presenters will have 3 minutes to present. Each of them will have 3 minutes to present. Please take notes, write them in the chat, or you can ask them during Q&A. Over to you.
Sure. Thank you so much, Elena. A very warm welcome to all of you. So this is the last presentation for this session. I'm Vanita, and I would describe myself as a teacher, educator, trainer, and mentor for the last 18 years in the field of teacher education. And today I have a total of 5 teachers, out of which 2 are in service and 3 of them are pre-service teachers. So without taking much time, I would like to welcome our speaker, Mohammed Hisam. He's an English language teacher at a school in Songkhla, Thailand. His research explores the challenges of fostering students' engagement, participation, and confidence during teacher-led English lessons. So through a mixed methods approach, he examines how peer-supported interactive tasks can help quiet students participate more actively and confidently in the classroom. So over to you, Hisam, and I'm just sharing your poster. Just give me 2 seconds. Yeah, here it is. Yes, Hisam?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, you can start your presentation.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Greeting from Thailand, where it's now already close to midnight, I could say.
Yeah. Who are
Okay.
Hisam? Yeah.
My name is Vanita Chopra, and I'm an English teacher at Rathapumitia School, Songkhla Province, Thailand. So tonight, I would like to share my exploratory action research titled Exploring Challenges in Fostering Students' Engagement, Participation, and Confidence in Teacher-led English Lessons. Let me begin with the context of my classroom. My study involved 24 grade 7 students whose age around 13 to 14 years old. So during my teacher-led lesson, I noticed that many of my students appear attentive, but they rarely actually participate in speaking activities. However, when the lesson turns on hands-on tasks, the same students became much more active and become more confident. So from this observation, it's led me to explore the question that why do some students remain silent during teacher-led lessons even they appear engaged? So to explore this question, I collected data using different tools, including my reflective journals, students' reflective writing, questionnaires, and the last one is peer observations. So the findings show three main challenges, which are students fear of making mistakes, having low confidence, and the last one is about the classroom distractions. But interestingly, there was about 81% of students show that they became more engaged and confident through peer collaboration and hands-on activities. And based on this finding, I moved to the action plan to address the issue. I implemented some new strategies. So during my teacher-led lesson, I used two systems which are buddy pair discussion, think pair share, and also I add bilingual prompts in my teaching, which means that I use English and Thai to help my students better understanding. And then when it's turned to practice stage, I let my students perform a role play. And after integrating these techniques, the results show positive improvements. There was about 87% of students show higher participation and confidence, and they were more willing to speak and collaborate during the lessons. And finally, I would like to say that what I learned from this EAR, that the first one is peer support is matter. I could say that peer support is very important for building students' confidence. And second, constructive feedback helps create a safe learning environment to students. And the last one, that some students need more time to practice to be natural speaking rather than relying on the script. And that's all from my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eric. Yeah. Well done. Okay. Let me introduce the second speaker. Our next presenter is Ria Goyal. She is a pre-service elementary teacher from Lady Shri Ram College for Women, University of Delhi, from the Department of Elementary Education. Her action research investigates how classroom seating positions influence participation, peer interaction, and learners' sense of voice in a grade 4 classroom. The study highlights how intentional seating arrangements can support more equitable participation. Over to you, Ria. Just give me a moment to share your poster. My internet is working quite slow today, so just give me a moment. Yes, Ria, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Hello?
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Is the poster visible? Just a sec.
Yes, shall I begin?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, hello everybody. Good evening. My name is Ria Goyal and I'm a pre-service teacher from India. Basically, many of us view classrooms seating as a simple logistical choice that we make, but my research shows that it is actually a regulator of power. So during my exploratory phase, I studied a typical classroom wherein with a fixed furniture, I discovered a persistent triangular shaped action zone where the teacher's gaze is naturally locked. So this creates a kind of blind spots at the back and the sides of the room. And I found that when a child is placed in these spots, they don't just stay quiet, but they start to believe that they aren't meant for the active learning process. And their physical distance becomes a ceiling on their academic worth structurally. So I realized that to change this, I had to treat the seating layout as a part of my active pedagogy as a teacher. So in the action phase, I implemented a three-tier intervention strategies, where in strategy number one, I implemented dynamic action zone, engagement zones rotation, where I identified three kinds of engagement zones in the classroom. And I moved the students from the shadows into the zones of action, where everyone had an exposure to every corner of the classroom. A second one was mixed ability pairings, where I broke the usual seating silos to create to encourage students of different abilities to support each other in the learning processes. And third one was the structured participation, in which I used the color-coded passes, participation passes, to make sure that the academic airtime was shared fairly among all the rows. So the real breakthrough happened when I adopted a circulatory instructional focus, where the classroom structure often is, authorized at the front board. So I chose to be a bridge moving through the rows. And I was able to take that action zone that many researchers claim with me to every corner of the room by this. So my data, including the peer sociograms, showed the beautiful shift that the participation stopped where a student sat and it became more about the network we built, and we saw the isolated rows transform into a connected community. So my takeaway for all the educators listening this worldwide is just very simple, that facilitation is an equity practice. We do not need always expensive and flexible furnitures to create an inclusive classroom. We just need a flexible mindset. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ria. Well done. Though you were not very confident initially, to explore such an area, but yes, you have sailed, quite a tremendous way. Thank you. Congratulations to you. Okay, so let me just introduce our third presenter, who is Tanya. She is also a pre-service elementary teacher from Lady Shriram College for Women, Delhi University. Her research examines the role of role play activities in enhancing English speaking skills among grade 4 students, demonstrating how learner-centered strategies can build confidence and reduce hesitation in speaking.
Hi, I am
So,
Tanya.
yes, Tanya, you need to just switch on your video. I hope I'm not
Yes,
able to see
ma'am.
you. Okay, great. I'm just sharing your poster. Yeah, here it is. Okay,
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
okay, go ahead.
Hi, I am Tanya, a pre-service teacher from India, Delhi, completing my studies from Elisa Delhi University. This was my research I did during my internship. My topic was role play for enhancing English speaking skills. My study has three questions. How does role play help improve students' speaking skills? In what ways does it reduce fear and hesitation in using English? And how does it support participation, engagement, and peer interaction? During my pre-internship at Kendriya Vidyalaya with fourth grade students, I observed that teachers often had limited expectations in English, it a difficult considering it a difficult second language compared to Hindi. Semi-structured interviews and classroom observation confirmed hesitation and low confidence amongst children. To explore this, I use tools like rubrics, observation journals, reflection slips, peer feedback sheets, and focus group discussion to capture authentic classroom realities. In the action phase, I introduced role play as a strategy to reduce fear and encourage participation. I supported students with scripts, costumes, props, and peer reinforcement. The four plays. Students gradually moved from whispering and hesitation to confidence, fluent, and collaborative performances. Role play gave them a safe, engaging platform to practice English a meaningful context. My findings showed that role play reduced hesitation and built confidence in speaking. Students improve fluency and functional language use, and performances integrated both verbal and non-verbal communications. Collaboration and peer engagement were strong, with leadership emerging naturally. Strategic competencies also grew as students improvised with forgetting lines and negotiated meaning. Teachers validated these changes, noted that students became more participatory, expressive, and engaged. Overall, my role play Overall, role play transformed the classroom culture into an active, supportive space for learning. In conclusion, role play is a powerful pedagogical strategy that not only enhances speaking skills but also nurtures confidence, creativity, and collaboration. It aligns with NEP 2020, emphasizing on activity-based learning and provide authentic, measurable evidences for student growth.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much, Tanya. Very well done. It would be interesting to hear from you. How did you implement role play in different stages and the students' responses to the same? Thank you so much, Tanya. Yeah. Now I'm going to introduce the fourth speaker. We have Disha. She's also a pre-service teacher from the same college, Lady Shriram College, and her study explores a very interesting aspect, exploring bilingualism in a teacher education program, and examines how language practices shapes participation, confidence, and academic recognition. And the research also, raises important questions about linguistic equity and meaningful multilingual engagement, especially at the higher education level. Disha, are you there?
Is that screen visible?
Yeah, just a sec. I'm just sharing your poster. Give me a moment.
Okay.
Okay. Oops. Can you share? Can you see my screen? No?
No, not yet.
Okay. just... Yes, can you now?
Yes, yes, we can.
Okay. Over to you, Disha. Go ahead.
Yeah, greetings everyone. I am Disha, a pre-service teacher pursuing Bachelor's of Elementary Education from Lady Shri Ram College for Women, University of Delhi. So my topic is slightly different from what the others have presented yet. So I chose this topic because many of us often think that problems in classroom begin with school teaching practices and usually focus on what happens in school classrooms and assume that improving teaching there will automatically improve learning. But I tried to explore the issue that actually began much earlier, that is in teacher education program, where teachers are being prepared. If there are gaps or inequalities in time of preparing them, they can later influence their pedagogies and their style of teaching in the classroom, interacting with students. And one such issue that I have taken is language. So, many teacher education programs describe themselves as bilingual or multilingual, meaning that two mediums of instructions, and English is supposed to dominate them slightly when we are talking in context of higher education. And I often feel that even in bilingual program that English often dominated the academic discussions, readings, and assessments. So my study tried to understand how bilingualism actually works in practice. So my research questions are: how is bilingualism used in classroom discussions and assessments? How do Hindi medium students experience participation and evaluation? How do language affect students' confidence and their ability to express their knowledge? And I used focus groups, focus group discussions with the students of all 4 years of the program within 2 colleges and survey. And my findings suggested that bilingualism in this program is not always practiced equally, even though this is institutionalized or structured, but the influence of classroom participation and it often gets influenced by English, and students confident that are Hindi medium students get impacted by this, and sometimes even how their knowledge is evaluated. And many students reported hesitation while speaking in classroom discussions because they felt their idea might not be expressed as clearly or might not be valued in the same way. So this study concludes that teacher education program need to improve beyond simply calling themselves as bilingual. Instead, they can create equitable language practices that can be influenced to teachers for being prepared to how they can implement that in their classrooms in future. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Disha. Wonderful presentation. I think there would be questions coming up, with respect to your research area. So thank you so much. Well done. Let me introduce the last speaker for our cohort, and she is Tanya Kapoor. She is the final presenter in this session. She is a secondary school teacher and a subject expert at Nahar International School in Mumbai. And her action research investigates how visual inquiry strategies using photographs, maps, and other visual sources can transform history teaching from rote learning to reflective and analytical engagement among grade 9 students.
Thank you so much for introducing the presentation, Vanita ma'am. Greetings, everyone.
Yeah, I'm just sharing your poster. You can begin.
Yes.
Okay.
The whole journey of exploring this and coming up with this idea of visual inquiry started with a question during my history classes. When my students talk about history, are they really thinking about the past or are they mostly memorizing it? This question emerged from a growing concern in my grade 9 classrooms where the students were curious, they were capable, they were thinking. However, all they were thinking about what to copy down in the notebook, what dates to recall, which key terms to memorize. However, the moment the narrative shifted from recording information to taking questions or to talk about the interpretation and historical situation, to question a source, something interesting happened in the class. The class became quiet. The conversation slowed down, and I began to realize that perhaps the problem was not with the students, but how history is being experienced in the classroom. One moment in particular stayed with me. The grade 9 textbooks are full of photographs, maps, and paintings, which are referred to as sources. But when students flipped through the pages, it made me realize that they're seeing this as a background decoration and not something to engage with. This observation led to the critical question for me as a teacher. If history is about interpreting evidence, why were our classrooms so focused on memorizing narratives? The question became the starting point of my research. During the exploratory research, I simply observed what was happening during the regular classroom task using observation checklists and question tracker. I tracked participation in terms of nature of student responses and the kind of questions students asked. The patterns were revealing. The participation was limited, uneven. A few confident students responded regularly, while many remained silent. Most of the responses were factual and recall based, often repeating phrases directly from the textbook. Another parameter was student questioning, which was also very minimal. On an average, students asked only about 4 to 5 questions in an entire lesson, which was alarming because history is a subject of critical inquiry. Gradually, the pattern kept on becoming clearer. Students were not positioned as the interpreters of history. However, they were being positioned, or how I saw them, was rememberers of information appearing in front of them. So I decided to try something different. Over the next 8 weeks in my study, I redesigned some of my lessons, and using the pictures which were used as background, we put them together in the center. The classroom started with the pictures, with the maps, with the questions. The key change was not simply showing them more pictures, but it was how students were engaging with those pictures. The very first step was to ask students to stop, slow down, observe, and annotate pictures. What is happening in a picture? For the first 2 minutes, the classroom became silent and everyone quietly observing. Then the discussions began. Students started to ask questions. Who might have created this image? When might it was produced? What could be the purpose? Who is being represented? Are there people missing? Gradually, things started to shift gears. The classroom shifted where students did not start looking for an answer to make notes or to copy in their notebooks, but the investigation started together where perspectives and interpretations were taken. Towards the end of the 8 weeks which I took, the classroom participation increased significantly from 1.42 in the baseline phase to 2.36 during the visual inquiry phase. Students' questioning also transformed. I could notice that on an average from 4 to 5 questions per lesson, now there were about 12 to 15 questions which were critically examining and reflecting upon the happening of the paintings. But perhaps the most historical thing for us and the most significant shift was the historical empathy. Students began to see historical actors not simply as a character, as a king and their story, but as the people who have lived through social, political, and economic situations and context. History started to feel less like a set of facts, but more like human experiences, which brought me to something really significant, which I really wanted to share. A proposed framework, which I have put as a visual inquiry pedagogical framework, which start with careful observations, move towards questioning, interpretation, contextual understanding, and the reflections. In this approach, images are not illustrations to support the text, but are the source of information themselves. They are the historical evidence which students would be using to actively investigate. And when students observe, question, and interpret evidence, something powerful definitely happens. History stops becoming a subject to remember, but starts becoming a discipline to think with, to predict, and to interpret what happened and what is happening. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Tanya, for an excellent presentation, Tanya. So I, as a mentor, was quite hesitant, because history is not my expertise, it's the ELT. But thank you, Tanya, for making me deep dive, into this area and to learn so much more about this subject. Thank you so much, Tanya. Thank you, all my teachers. You did a wonderful job. Now the floor is open for Q&A.
Yes.
Yes, Elena.
Okay, so thank you so much, Vanita, for inviting such wonderful teacher researchers from history teaching and from pre-service teacher education. It's wonderful to listen to different teacher research projects, even in different subjects. Okay, so I welcome everyone to ask questions about these wonderful projects. Do you have any questions?
Yes, please.
Okay, yeah, Tanawat, over to you.
I would like to ask I would like to ask Hisam. Yeah, hi Muhammad Hisam, one of my friends from the south as well. As you mentioned in your poster that you used what's that, English Thai prompt? Yes, it means that you have to translate for your student whenever needed, for example. Yeah, so my question is that how often did you use Thai English prompt, and in what way? Is there any reasons behind, I would like to know more, why you use English to Thai prompt with your students.
Yeah, okay, thank you for your questions. So actually my goal in teaching English is that I try to use like CLT in my classroom, and I tend with myself that I will try to use English as much as possible in my classroom. And that's the reason that I try to use English. But as in Thai situation that my students, they are not really proficiency in English. So sometimes I need to translate into Thai language to them. For example, normally in my teaching in the pre-stage, I try to greet them in English. But sometimes when I ask them in English for whole class, my class is keep quiet. So that's the reason that I have to switch my language into Thai language. So this one we call that bilingual language in the classroom. That means we use between English and Thai. However, we try to use English as much as possible. So am I answering the questions?
Yes, thank you so much. And one more,
Thank
please.
you.
Which one do you
Yes.
think that the more challenging for you, according to your activities in your action plan, like buddy pair, think pair, share, and bilingual prompt? Which one do you think, the most challenging for you, according to these three activities? Yeah.
Okay, according to these three activities, the most challenging one is, I think, the role play one, because the role play, the students have to, it takes time for students. Actually, I would like my class, my students to be able to speak without using the script, but in my implementation and in the result, many of my students, they are still relying on the script. But however, I could say that I success that they are able to speak and they confidence to speak from the first stage that they are keep quiet in the class in my classroom. But when I let them to perform a role play, many of them that's not quite proficiency in English, they are relying on the script much than speak on their own. But for those students who are already proficiency in English, they are remember the 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 wording that they are going to speak. Yeah. So I would like to say that this one is a little bit challenging for me. So if I have chance in the next semester, I will try to continue to keep these techniques and to try to let my students to perform without using script. This one gonna be my next step. Thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Really good ambitions. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And so, Felicia, do you want to ask a question? I think you raised your hand.
Yes.
Yes, over to you.
Let me just lower down my hand. This question is also to Muhammad. It was quite interesting how this is again a follow-up from who was the person asking question before me? Is it Tanawat? So how do you balance then? If let's say you mentioned that your students were quiet and then you had to switch to Thai to encourage them to speak, but how do you maintain that balance so they don't depend too much on you giving translation in Thai?
I think you should unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry, I didn't turn on my microphones. I could say that in my implementation, there are 3 techniques that I integrating to my classroom. Without the bilingual prompts, I still have like buddy pair. So in this buddy pair, my students they are pair with their friends. So when I ask the questions, for those who are not really proficiency in English, they will ask her friends or his friends to help them. And I let my the students who are much more better in English to help their friends to answer. Yes, so this also one techniques that I let my quiet students to be more active in the class. And yes, how to balance, I went for the whole class for some questions that might be difficult for all students. So I switched it into Thai language. But in the first steps, I try to let those students who are much better in English to help their friends first. And sometimes my students, they use like mobile phone to translate into the application first. Yeah. So this is what I did in my classroom. And I could say that buddy pair and bilingual prompts, it helped my class into positive ways that it's not no more quiet in my classroom. Yes, I could say.
Nice.
Thank you. Well done for that.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So wonderful, Hisam. Now, so we have okay, Finita, would you like to answer to ask your question?
Yes, Eleonora, I want to ask a question to Disha. I was very interested in her study. She talked about implementing a bilingual program in a bilingual model in teacher training education. So I just wanted her to tell me which bilingual model, in her opinion, is ideal for her context. Is it the mother tongue exclusively for the first years, or mother tongue and English altogether? So I would like her to expand more on that. Which model is ideal for the context?
Okay. So
then is this question is to me too?
No, I think it's Disha, right?
Disha, I think.
Yes.
Disha, are you there? Disha.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah, please answer the question. Have you understood the question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
So,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah. So, yeah, I would say not mother tongue exclusively we can use, but yeah, for certain academic versions of like when we are discussing in the classroom and um, when we are in the academic background, the formal English and sometimes the um, very technical words are very not approachable for the students that are recently just passed graduated from the schools, and their Hindi background, as I have observed also, doesn't allow them to correlate with that academic what this technicality. So not the mother tongue, but we can allow them to like to correlate with the technical words or technical uh, formal setting. We can take the mother tongue, but not that exclusively have the upper hand on their language, and we can hire some correlating faculties that help them to like for the bridging the gap, I would say, if this sits by the answer.
Okay, thank you so much. Oh, wonderful, Disha. So, okay, so we have Boruma, right? Would you like to ask your question? You should unmute yourself. Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I wanted to ask a question to Tanya Shawaria. Tanya,
Yeah.
Yes.
you said in your abstract that teachers initially expressed doubt about the use of role plays in enhancing student speaking skills. Can you please tell us about some of those doubts they expressed?
So, you are basically asking me that what are the perceptions of the teachers? Yeah, so for that, I took semi-structured interview from 4 primary teachers, which were teaching there since past few years, and their work experience is about like 16 years and 10 years. So they told that in country like India, there is no uh, in India, like basically, English is not the first language. So students at home, they speak their mother language. And India is so much culturally diverse that we are having so many languages at home. So for those students, it is very difficult to grasp English so fluently. So this thing also create a sense of hesitation and fear for the students to speak in English. I feel like the environment at the home of every student is different at their home, and when they come to school, uh, the teachers try to cover up the syllabus first, so they don't focus on whether they are able to learn if they are like able to write in English, they are not able to speak in English because they are hesitant. So the teacher's viewpoint is that they are having hesitation in speaking more. So I collected this from the interviews which I have took during my internship.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you so much, Tanya. So, Paroma,
If it is
is the
allowed,
question
I would
okay?
like to add something over here.
Just a moment. We have some questions. I'm sorry. Like there
All
are a
right.
couple of
Okay.
more questions that we want
Okay.
to ask. And then Dr. Shalini, yes, definitely. So before I move to Vilay, there is one question that I think Tanya Kapoor would like to answer. So Tanya, this so Ella Maxakola wrote, "Congrats to your research. The topic is inspiring." So, and you mentioned about visuals, pictures as a sources of building knowledge. Where do you find appropriate thought-provoking pictures? How do you create guiding questions to engage students in interpreting the historical events? Did you answer that question or not?
Yeah. Thank you so much for asking. So, when we're talking about pictures specifically for history, there are a lot of platforms available which provide with the primary and secondary. There's the US Congress, then the Google Art and Culture available, then there is a historical archive of India available, which all these platforms have a free list. Other than that, in grade 9 history or grade 10 history, along with that, there are cartoons available. A very significant conversation goes through these cartoon interpretations because X person has prepared this before a word, a similar person would have prepared it after a word. The interpretation changes just with the timeline. So observation there helps. Now coming to the questions. So here where the language and history comes together. There is one technique which historians use very clearly is a funneling question technique, wherein we start from a wider lens and then move towards the heart of the picture. So at every level you are uncovering, you're moving a level deep. Then the WH family questions are the first strategy or is the first strategy any history class would use. What, why, where, when, how. Then there is another which usually helps is peeling the layers of the onion. So if this is happening from perspective A, what is happening in perspective B? Or what could be the perspective of person C? So during different times, different strategies come up. The questions are usually simple. It's just when they are put and how they are put that makes the difference most of the times. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. Yeah. So Ella is nodding, so that means yes. So Vilay, nice to see you. Do you want to ask a question?
Hello from midnight, Thailand. Okay, I would like to ask the two presenter, but I would start with Hisam for the first question for me. I would like to ask you that you said you mentioned that in your research that some students need more practice in doing the role play, and I would like to ask that when they are ready, they have to present in front of the class for doing the role play, or you just give them a chance for doing a role play after class, or when they are ready to do like doing a video clip and send to you or something like that. That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you ครับพี่วิไล Okay, so actually I let the students perform role play in the class next to the class. That it's like in this class I teach them the topics, right? And then they learn the language focus or whatever in my classroom. And then at the end of the class, I give them some time to practice, but I let them to perform the role play in the next class because just 1 hour in the class is not enough for my class because teaching need it's like a process, right? So they need time for students. So they come to perform to the next class. Yes. And as I would like them to perform in the real classroom, in the real context. So I didn't let them to do the video because many of my students, they love to do in the classroom. They not like to do a clip video. Yeah, because they said that if they have to to make a clip video, so they have to edit and then to add and so many more. So they love to perform a real situation in the class.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. And I think we can end here because we need to move to the I think plenary in a couple of minutes, but we yes, we should finish here. So thank you so much. And again, congratulations to all teacher researchers and mentors. Wonderful projects, wonderful achievements. Well done. And I can see we have great change change agents. So here now I would like to welcome all of you to the plenary. But again, if you want to receive the certificates, please fill in the form. Thank you so much.